Rob Reiner became the emotional and symbolic center of the Critics' Choice Awards 2026, not because of a single new release or a competitive category, but because Hollywood collectively paused to recognize a man whose career has quietly, steadily, and profoundly shaped generations of storytelling. On a night designed to celebrate the best of the past year, the focus widened to honor a lifetime of work, influence, and integrity, reminding everyone watching why Rob Reiner's name carries such enduring weight in the film and television industry. This was not a rushed acknowledgement or a polite nod squeezed between award categories. It was a deliberate, unhurried moment, handled with care and intention, unfolding with the kind of reverence usually reserved for history makers whose impact can't be summed up in a single montage. The room felt it instantly. Applause began almost instinctively, rising before speeches had fully landed, and the familiar buzz of awards season excitement softened into something quieter and more reflective. This was not about who won or lost. This was about legacy, about time, and about gratitude. For many in the room, Rob Reiner's work wasn't just admired, it was formative. His films weren't simply watched, they were absorbed. They played in living rooms, on late-night television reruns, on worn VHS tapes, DVDs, and now streaming queues, becoming part of people's emotional vocabulary. The Critics' Choice Awards 2026 recognize that reality, acknowledging that Reiner's influence doesn't belong to one era, but spans multiple generations, evolving with audiences while never losing its core humanity. Rob Reiner's journey in entertainment is one of rare and deliberate evolution. He did not emerge fully formed as a director or visionary filmmaker. He earned his place step by step. His early fame came as an actor, portraying Michael Meathead Stevick on All in the Family, a character embedded in one of the most socially impactful television shows ever produced. That series didn't just entertain, it challenged assumptions, provoked uncomfortable conversations, and reflected a changing America. Being part of that cultural moment shaped Reiner's understanding of storytelling as something that could entertain and enlighten at the same time. Working on All in the Family gave Reiner an early education in the power of humor rooted in truth. He saw how humor could open doors to serious conversations, how audiences could be both entertained and challenged without feeling lectured. Those lessons stayed with him as he began to explore life behind the camera, eventually guiding his approach as a director who never underestimated his audience's intelligence or emotional capacity. When Rob Reiner transitioned into directing, few could have predicted the breadth of his creative range. Many filmmakers discover a single genre that works for them and build their careers around repeating that formula. Reiner chose a different path. He treated each project as its own challenge, its own world, its own emotional language. He moved seamlessly from coming-of-age drama to fantasy adventure, from romantic comedy to courtroom thriller, from satire to deeply personal realism. With each shift, he demonstrated not just versatility, but confidence in storytelling itself. Stand By Me marked a turning point not just in Reiner's career, but in how childhood stories were told on screen. The film stripped away sentimentality and nostalgia, replacing them with vulnerability and truth. Childhood, in Reiner's hands, was not a fantasy. It was a fragile, fleeting time shaped by fear, loyalty, curiosity, and loss. The film resonated because it trusted audiences to confront those emotions honestly. Decades later, it still does. That trust has always been central to Reiner's work. He believes emotion doesn't need exaggeration to be powerful. Then came The Princess Bride, a film that initially puzzled executives because it refused to be boxed into single genre. It was whimsical but sincere, playful but earnest, ironic yet deeply romantic. Over time, it became something extraordinary, a timeless story embraced by children and adults alike. The film's dialogue became iconic, its characters unforgettable, and its spirit enduring. It didn't just survive changing tastes, it transcended them, becoming a cultural touchstone that continues to connect people across generations. When Harry Met Sally followed, and with it came a redefinition of the romantic comedy. Rather than relying on glossy fantasy or exaggerated misunderstandings, the film explored the complexity of relationships with honesty and humor. It asked questions audiences recognized from their own lives. Can men and women be friends? How do timing, fear, and vulnerability shape love? The conversations felt real because they were rooted in observation and empathy. Even today, filmmakers chase the authenticity that film achieved so effortlessly. A Few Good Men showcased yet another dimension of Rob Reiner's ability. Here was a director capable of tension, moral complexity, and sharp dialogue, all without sacrificing character. The courtroom drama became iconic not just for its memorable moments, but for the ethical questions it raised. It explored power, responsibility, and truth, allowing audiences to wrestle with uncomfortable realities. The film's influence can still be felt in legal dramas that followed, many of which trace their DNA back to Reiner's disciplined, character-first approach. As the Critics' Choice Awards reflected on these achievements, the focus naturally shifted beyond individual titles. What emerged was a portrait of a man deeply respected, not only for what he created, but how he created it. Stories shared throughout the evening painted Rob Reiner as a director who listens more than he speaks, who values collaboration over control, and who creates environments where creativity can flourish without fear. In an industry often dominated by pressure, hierarchy, and ego, that reputation carries real weight. Colleagues often describe Reiner as approachable, thoughtful, and principled. He's known for remembering names, for engaging in real conversations, for showing interest in people regardless of their position on a call sheet. That respect translates directly to his work. His films feel human because they're made with humanity. His characters aren't symbols or stereotypes. They are layered, flawed individuals shaped by circumstance and choice. The Critics' Choice Awards 2026 leaned fully into that truth. This tribute wasn't just about celebrating success measured in box office numbers or awards won. It was about celebrating values. In honoring Rob Reiner, the ceremony emphasized that longevity in Hollywood isn't built by chasing trends or reinventing oneself for attention. It's built by consistency, curiosity, and purpose. It's built by respecting collaborators and audiences alike, and by believing that stories still matter in a world that often moves too fast to listen. The audience reaction made that message unmistakable. Standing ovations weren't brief or ceremonial, they lingered. Younger performers, many of whom grew up watching Reiner's films, appeared visibly moved, recognizing the influence those stories had on their own creative dreams. Veterans in the room nodded knowingly, sharing an unspoken understanding of what it takes to endure, to evolve, and to remain relevant without losing oneself. Beyond the venue, the response was just as heartfelt. Fans across generations shared personal memories tied to Reiner's work. Some recalled watching his films with parents or grandparents. Others spoke about scenes that helped them understand friendship, love, courage, or moral responsibility. Many expressed appreciation that Hollywood chose to honor Rob Reiner while he remains present, active, and influential, rather than waiting for distance or loss to prompt reflection. The Critics' Choice Awards have always positioned themselves as a space where artistry and appreciation intersect, and this tribute embodied that mission perfectly. Rob Reiner's career represents a rare alignment between critical respect and audience devotion. His films aren't confined to awards history or academic discussion. They live in people's homes, conversations, and memories. They're revisited for comfort, quoted for humor, and recommended with enthusiasm that never fades. As the ceremony continued and attention returned to competitive categories, the tribute to Rob Reiner lingered quietly in the background, shaping the tone of the night. It became a reminder of what the industry can be when it pauses to reflect. Not loud, not self-congratulatory, but thoughtful, appreciative, and grounded in storytelling that endures beyond trends and headlines. Rob Reiner's presence at the Critics' Choice Awards 2026 served as proof that legacy is not a finish line or a final chapter. It is an ongoing process built through decades of commitment, curiosity, and care. It is built by choosing substance over spectacle, sincerity over cynicism, and humanity over hype. It is built by trusting audiences to feel deeply and think honestly. In honoring him, Hollywood wasn't just looking backward, it was setting an example for what the future can look like if creators remain committed to empathy, integrity, and storytelling with purpose. Rob Reiner's influence continues not because of nostalgia, but because his approach remains relevant, necessary, and increasingly rare in a fast-moving industry. As the applause finally faded and the night moved forward, one truth remained unmistakable. Rob Reiner's impact cannot be confined to a single ceremony, a single decade, or a single generation. His stories endure because they reflect something timeless about connection, courage, humor, and compassion. And moments like this, when an industry pauses to say thank you, remind us why storytelling matters in the first place. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.